learning to model linear relationships. So when we're modeling, we're going to need to be thinking about how we can represent it in an equation. So we are doing linear, so that means we are focusing at the moment on a constant rate. That's the key word you're going to see quite often. A water tank is initially contains 1,500 mils. It says initially. So I'm just going to draw a basic graph just so we can visualize. So because it's initially, it's time zero. So that means it's going to be right over here. So at time zero, I'll label this here as T, and I'll label this here as V for the amount of volume I have. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm just going to label right here as my initial point, and it says I've got 1,500. So whenever we are labeling a graph, just make sure I want each point we know to be labeled as a coordinate, please. This is getting into a habit of for next year. So this point is 0 and 1,500, and it's always these important points we mark like this because it's an intercept. The next part says it is being drained at a constant rate of 3.5 mils per minute. So that is going to tell us our gradient, and eventually it will go down to the point we find this intercept right here. And that means at this point, that we are going to have 0 for our volume. So that's what it means without me looking at anything on what the question's asking. So it says write an equation. So with any linear equation, it's going to be y equals mx plus c. But in this case here, we're not dealing with y or x. We're dealing with t, and we're dealing with volume. So instead of y, I'm going to put v, and instead of x, I'm going to put t. The next step is thinking about c is referring to 1500 and identifying m, which is 3.5. But remember, our line's going to be going down because it's going to get empty. So that means when I'm writing it, I need to think about my gradient is going to be negative 3.5 per minute plus what I had at the start, which is 1500. Now, the second question here asks us how long will it take for the tank to be completely empty? So we've got that already on our graph over here. And that just says we are wanting to find the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, we are going to make our volume 0. 0 is equal to negative 3.5 t plus 1500. I will then take away 1500 from both sides to get my constant gone. That will give me negative 1500 is equal to negative 3.5 t. The last thing I need to do is divide both sides by the coefficient of t, which is negative 3.5. So we know our answer is going to be positive, and we can see that a negative divided by a negative is a positive because time has to be positive. And if I go 1500 divided by 3.5, we are going to get time is 428.57 minutes. A gym membership consists of a base fee of $50 plus a monthly fee of $25. Find the equation to express the total cost. So again, I'm just going to draw it as a picture. So our starting cost would have been $50. That is when just at the front door purchasing a gym membership, $50, and then we are paying our monthly. So month one, month two, month 3, month 4, etc. It goes up. So that's just a quick visual for us to see. Just remember, x-axis is always going to be time, but in this case, our time is referring to months. So M. Our Y is going to be cost. So looking at dollars. So again, if I just write down our standard form, Y equals mx plus c, I'll then change my Y to c. I'll change my x to m, but I've got m already there for gradients. So just be mindful of that. That's where I might hold off for this question and I'll change it at the end, just so I don't get lost myself. And it's important to note that sometimes it's okay to do it with y equals mx plus c and then change it at the end. So let's have a look. My gradient here says $25 fee a month. So I've got 25x $50 base fee plus 50. Now I can put everything else in, so I know y is talking about cost and x is talking about months, so time. So now I've got c equals 25m plus 50. Question 2 says, what is the cost of a 1-year membership? Well, we know a 1-year membership is 12 months. So really, I'm just grabbing the m and putting a 12 in there. So c is equal to 25 times 12 plus 50. So that will give me a cost of $350. A farmer has a storage silo with 5,000 kilos of grain and sells it at a constant rate of 200 kilos per day. So the more we sell, the more grain that we are going to lose out of the silo. So again, if I draw this quickly, it's referring to the amount of grain we have, and it's referring to days, or I always refer to X as time. Of course, it's how many days would take for it to be empty, and that is time. So again, we start off with writing our equation. Y equals mx plus c. We look at how much it had at the start. 5,000, so 5,000 is the top that it had on day 1. Then we sell some at the rate of 200 per day, so that means our gradient will be negative 200. And I'll put C as the 5,000 starting amount. So we can see approximately based on looking at the graph as well. Again, we've got our equation, but it's asking when the silo will be empty. That is our x-intercept. To work out any x-intercept, we need to let y equal 0, but I forgot to put in changing my y to g and changing my x to d. So now I'll change g to 0. So let g be 0. So that will be 0 is equal to negative 200d plus 5,000. I take 5,000 from both sides. So that gives me negative 5,000 equals negative 200d. Now, because to get d by itself, we're going to divide both sides by negative, and negative is a positive. So it will be 5,000 divided by 200 is 25, which means it will be 25 days before the silo is empty. The next question. A taxi company charges a fixed fee of $3 plus an additional $2 per kilometre traveled. Write an equation for the total cost of the trip. So again, if I draw a basic graph, there's a fixed cost on where we start, which is $3. And for each K, it's going to be going up in cost. So my X is time, or Ks, and Y is cost. So again, if I write down my formula, Y equals mx plus c, I'm just going to plug in what I know. So I know $2 per kilometer traveled, that will be my gradient. So Y equals 2x. And I know my C is the starting fixed fee of $3. I will change my Y and X to C and K to represent the problem. Next thing, it's wanting me to find out the cost of a 15-kilometer trip. That just means wherever I see K, I'm substituting 15 into my equation. So my cost will be 2 times 15 is 30, plus 3 is 33. A mobile, a, a mobile data plan costs $10 per month for the base plan and charges an additional $5 per gigabyte used. Write an equation to represent the monthly cost. So first thing, $10 per month for the base plan and charges $5 per gigabyte used. So this is referring to your monthly cost now. So we've got our cost there, and we are referring to how many gigabytes of data that we use. So the cost per plan is $10, but depending on what you use, it goes up in value on what it costs. That gives us a scenario that we can write an equation with. Y equals mx plus c. Our fixed amount is the $10. The C is the gigabytes used. Sorry, I wrote that down wrong. Erase. There we go. So our varying amount is the $5 per gigabyte. Our fixed amount, as I put on my graph, is 10. So it'll be y equals 5x plus 10. I need to change it to C and G. So C is equal to 5G plus 10. So for every gigabyte, it costs $5 plus the initial 10. Now, part two. If a customer uses 8 gigabytes in a month, what will their total bill be? So I'm just substituting 8 into my G. That's 5 times 8 is 40. 40 plus 10 is 50.